Hi everyone, Materim here with Game 2 of Brawler's Bash 2015. And this game has my Ogre Kingdoms versus the Vampire Counts of Chris Johnson, a great guy from Bromance Wargaming. And we're going to face off at table 20. So I have fallen quite a little bit from my table 1 matchup against Once Bitten. But I'm actually pleased to do so because Chris was a great opponent. He was actually one of my 2 votes for best opponent of the tournament, so it's definitely a good time. This is, again, standard battle line layout. The weird scenario about this one is that little paper standee in the middle of the table is Gary Busey, and he's a model with basically the stats of a Keeper of Secrets. Then if you kill him, you get 300 points. Then it becomes a Mel Gibson with the stats of a Screamer of Zinch, and then you get 200 for killing him. And then if you kill that, it becomes Tom Cruise, which has the stats of a Flamer. So take that for what you will. But we got a good game lined up here, and definitely a great opponent, and I had a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get into it with deployment. Okay, so starting on my left, we have a unit of 5 direwolves. Up on the hill, it looks really messed up because the hill's not quite wide enough to do what we need to do. This is actually a horde of 40 crypt ghouls. They're in actuality where the second movement tray of them is, but there's no way the other one would have stood there, so we know where it is. It's just hanging out up front right now. Off the hill in the front is a unit of 20 zombies with a standard musician. And behind them is a Terrorgeist with no upgrades. Then we have a very scary unit with 30 Grave Guards with a standard bearer. They've got full command, great weapons, and the Banner of Eternal Flame. In that unit are 2 Cairn Wraiths, a level 4 Necromancer to the Lore of Death with Dispel Scroll, his General, who is a level 4 Lore of Vampires with Shield, Redbud, Quick Fury, Ogre Blade, Armor of Destiny, standard Slayer build. So very potentially nasty there. Next to that is his BSB, who is a level 1 Vampire, Lore of Vampires on the Coven Throne with a Lance, Heavy Armor, Talisman of Preservation, and Charm Shield. Next to that is a single Spirit Host. Then another unit of 20 zombies. And behind that is a unit of, I believe it's 20 Skeleton Warriors. And they have Standard Musician Champion and Spears. Next to that is his second Terrorgeist with no upgrades. And that is it for this part. And right here was the other thing I was looking for, was the last 5-man direwolf unit over here protecting his other flank. So then for me, on the bridge, I have 1 Saber Tusk. In the water, I have 1 Saber Tusk. Then I have my unit of 6 Man-Eaters. Up on the hill, that's what we're treating this stone thing as. I have my Iron Guts with General and BSB installed. Then down next to the hill, I have my Ogres with my Slaughtermaster and Firebelly. Then my Lead Belchers, the 3 Redirector Ogres. Up on the hill, I have my 3 Yetis. And scouted up right next to Gary Busey there are my 3 Scouting Man-Eaters. Now, I'm really looking forward to this. I think I've got a good matchup. The only thing I'm really afraid of is his Lore of Death Mage. And on top of that, I have the special scenario card that gives me 500 extra points if I kill his General. So really my plan is to just hit him right in the face as hard as I can and just shove the Ogre unit right towards the Grave Guard. If I can get close and set off the Hellheart, hopefully some miscasts will do half my work for me. If not, he's really tightly packed in there, and I should be able to do some damage. My other big worry are the Terrorgeists, but I think if I can get up close enough, there's not going to be a whole lot of good area for him to land and do some screaming on, because that wall, the thing that looks like a gate, we're treating as entirely impassable. So if I can kind of keep everything tight and do damage he may not be able to get to me and scream. At least that's the hope anyway. We'll see how that ends up working out for me. So my opponent gets the first turn, and he decides to attempt to charge my scouting man-eaters with his spirit host, with the hope that he can get there and lock him up, not let him move. You'll notice my Gorger there on the impassable terrain. He's just there to remind me to bring him in, as I'm usually terrible about that. But as you can see, the Spirit Host does fail the charge and only staggers up a couple of inches, which is fortunate for me. Over here, the dogs are coming on pretty aggressively. Everything else is inching forward. The Terrorgeist can't quite reach to get over my units right yet, so he's not wanting to commit him, which is exactly what I want. He knows that if he lands the Terrorgeist in front of the Iron Guts, I'm just going to chew him apart. So he's going to be careful, and the more careful he is, the better things are for me. This one, however, realizes that the Spirit Host can't get the job done, so he's going to put the Terrorgeist there and try to scream my man-eaters off. The other thing, I don't think he charged his BSB at Gary Busey yet, but he's trying to. I think he moves him up to position him. But this still is good, because if he throws that BSB at Gary Busey, that's still going to leave him close to the other mages, so I can pop the Hellheart on him. So magic I end up holding down. He doesn't get any magic off, so we go into shooting, and the Terrorgeist screams and doesn't really do great. Only kills one of the man-eaters here. But fortunately for me, these are my man-eaters with immune to psychology, and they're not going anywhere. They don't care about a big dead bat. As a side note, I love what he did with this model as far as the Terrorgeist goes. I usually hate them, but putting them on the building actually makes them look pretty good. But not good enough to dissuade me from charging down its throat on my turn. I'm thinking, even with the Terrorgeist being pretty scary, I can put a bunch of wounds on him with the man-eaters, just the number of attacks they have, and that's really what I want to do. Is, yeah, the Terrorgeist can be scary, but they become a lot less scary if you can get some quick wounds in on them and reduce the strength of that scream. Over here, I move up my Yetis, who really don't have anything good to do because they can't get into where his Spirit Host is, so they're going to go kill some dogs and give me, 40, 60 points, something like that. Then here in the middle, you see the unfolding of my clever plan of push forward and win. Really not doing any subtlety here. I really just need to get as close as I can with that Hellheart, because I don't want to waste it. I've got one chance of wrecking these mages, and particularly the Death Mage. That's the one I'm scared of, and I've just got to go for the throat. So hopefully he'll take the bait and we'll get it going. And over here, you see basically I've got the Dire Wolves kind of chaffed up there so they can't get in my way with one Sabertusk, and then I've got the other Sabertusk 6 inches away, ready to charge if he does take the bait. So we'll see how that goes. And then up on the hill, you see, I think he moved up his ghouls a little bit last time, but I'm really interested to throw those man-eaters into the front of those ghouls and see exactly what I can get accomplished. Over here, my magic, I think he pretty much holds me down as well. So we do shooting, and I shoot... I don't think I shoot with the man-eaters. I think it's the lead belchers I shoot from like across the table, but I do 2-3 wounds. It was something ultimately minimal, but the lead belchers didn't really have a better target to shoot at that point, so I figured why the heck not. And it looks like I forgot to take a picture of the combat between the Terrorgeists and the man-eaters, but nothing really to talk about. We exchanged some wounds, but nobody's going anywhere. So we go in here to his turn, his charge. He charges the Terrorgeist over his Crypt Guards, or whatever they're called, the Grave Guards, and slams them into the front of the Ogres. I'm fine with that. I think he's really underestimating the amount of hurt these Ogres can put out. Not to mention, I've got static combat res, and if they can hold off and not take that beating, it can be a good day for me. I'll get rid of the Terrorgeist and still be in a position to do what I need to do with the Hellheart, which is really what I'm looking for. You can also see he started moving. I think he moves the ghouls up a little bit. He's moving that little unit of 20 man-eaters or not man-eaters, 20 zombies towards my Iron Guts to kind of prevent them from getting into the side of the Terrorgeist in case this fight in the center lasts a little longer than expected. And over here, he decides to get the charge on me before I can get it on him and slams his dogs into the Yetis. It's about all he could do over there. My Yetis are going to catch him, would have caught him no matter where he's going. So he figures at least this way he might be able to get a wound or two off on him before anything else goes on. So I have to respect my opponent's bravery in tossing his dire wolves to to the Yetis. And over here he throws these dire wolves at the Sabertusk, which I pretty much expected. You'll note that the other Sabertusk I left behind is now in that unit's flank. So if by some miracle the first first Sabertusk survives, I'll be able to bring the second one in to help, and I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, and it looks like I was jumping my gun a little bit with the description of the skeleton or the zombies, because here they are now moved up within an inch of my Iron Guts. They're also blocking my man-eaters from getting to the right, but frankly the man-eaters weren't going to the right anyway because they want some ghoul flesh. That's a horde of ghouls, but I know from playing VC myself that even in a horde I'm not overly scared of them, so I want to go see what they're made of. Over here we do here, this is where he charges Gary Busey. So you can see the vampire on the Coven Throne. I know it looks like a Mortis engine, but he's using it as a Coven Throne. Slams into Gary Busey, and I think this may be after combat, because he's got some wounds on him on that Terrorgeist. But yeah, that must have been the combat over there. So I put some wounds on the Terrorgeist. He doesn't really do much to me. His scream was terrible. But over here he makes up for it with I believe he screams over here. I don't even think I get to combat. I think he screams and vaporizes that unit of man-eaters. But I don't quite remember for certain. So the combat over here, my Sabertusk does kill one of the dire wolves, but the dire wolves return the favor, and they turn to face this other Sabertusk, which, what else am I going to do? There's nothing that Sabertusk has to life, but maybe I can get good and get in there and do some hurt. We'll have to see. And then over here, the Yetis, of course, eat the dogs. They take one wound in return. So, I mean, he hurt the Yetis a little bit, but that's 40 more points for me. Either way, this is pretty immaterial. I'm really happy, though, beyond this fight, that I've been managing to hold his magic down. He hasn't been rolling great magic phases, and I've just been rocking the Dispels dice pretty good, and so he hasn't really gotten anything off yet. And then... Okay, I must have shot the Terrorgeist turn 1, because this is after combat with that Terrorgeist, because this is the point where the Ogres finish off the Terrorgeist, kill it, and I have taken 0 wounds. My Ogres are rocking it. It's very, very awesome, and one less Terrorgeist to deal with, and 250 points to me. So we go into my turn 2. And I slam my Sabertusk into the dogs, I slam my man-eaters into the ghouls, and you can sort of see on the corner here, I slam my Iron Guts into the zombies. I'm pretty sure the zombies are just going to explode. There's really nothing that they've got that's going to handle a 9-man unit of ogres with 2 characters. But the other 2 fights could be in question. And over here, I throw my main ogre unit, not into combat with him, but I'm literally within 5. My Tyrant at this point is within 5 inches of all of his wizards. So on his next turn, he's going to be able to pop the Hellheart and just do some major damage to stuff. You can also see the Coven Thrones taking a couple of wounds from Gary Busey because Gary Busey is terrifying and did damage to him. Then you can see here I decided to go ahead and charge the Terrorgeist with the Lead Belchers, figuring there's not many great targets at this point to shoot because there's so many big things in combat. So I figured I'd go ahead and charge it, stop it from flying around, and maybe with the impact hits, I can do some damage to it and kill it. You can see it's... I think what he's doing is he's counting down the wounds it has left. So I think he's got 3 or 4 wounds left on him there. So magic was really nothing. Shooting was nothing. So we go into combat. You can see that the Lead Belchers took a couple of wounds, but they did manage to take down the Terrorgeist, which was awesome. And Gary Busey's taken a couple of wounds, but the Coven Throne only has 2 wounds on it left because Gary Busey is beating the living tar out of that thing. And over here, the Man-Eaters, they're actually where the top 2 are, but they just ate this ghoul unit. I've reduced it to less than half numbers, and I think two Man-Eaters died in the attempt, but I've still got more than enough to finish this unit off, so I've actually spread. I'm 4 wide now after the reform, because I'm just going to pump attacks into the thing. Okay, now this picture may not make any sense to everybody, and I'm super apologetic for this, but I actually forgot to take any pictures of my opponent's turn. It wasn't a huge turn. Basically, it was a lot of repositioning to get ready for what was coming in. He did attempt to charge the Spirit Host in here, and did charge his big unit with the Blender at my Ogre unit with the Slaughtermaster in it. During his magic phase, I set off the Hellheart. It managed to kill his BSB, which was great. It did some wounds to the other guys, and I think it made him lose, or did like a wound to his general, and made his Death Mage lose 2 spells. Unfortunately, Purple Sun wasn't one of them. So that was bad. But taking out the BSB was definitely good. And then in combat, he ends up doing some damage. Not quite enough to really destroy the Ogre unit, but he does end up breaking them. But he fails to run me down. So when I start my next turn, I'll have that unit fleeing. Pretty much all of the small unit of zombie there and whatnot is gone. And knowing that and knowing that I totally messed this up, you'll see where we are at the next picture will make a heck of a lot more sense. And again, I'm sorry for that. As this being my first tournament, I was trying to pay attention to too many things, and the picture taking was sadly falling at the wayside. So after that turn that I missed, you can see what we're dealing with now. His Coven Throne did manage to kill Gary Busey in that combat too, so there's Mel Gibson there now. But you can see this is the start of my turn. I charged the Lead Belchers into the Spirit Host, hoping static combat res to get him. I've reformed everything to stare at that now half-strength Graveguard unit. And you can see my Ogres have reformed and are staring them down as well. I bring up the small Ogres there to kind of get in the way, but they can't because Mel Gibson is blocking them. You can also see last turn, or this turn, my Gorger has shown up and is way back there in the back trying to deal with those other skeletons, and the Yetis have come from around the corner and charged into the zombies, which is going to lead to a very fun zombie mashing there. But again, sorry I missed out on those pictures, but this is where everything stands at. I believe this is my turn 3, like after movement. Again, sorry about that. You can also see that the ghouls were destroyed during the combat on his turn, and the man-eaters have come down the hill. I believe they've come down the hill, actually. I think I can see he summoned some skeletons there on his last magic phase, and they're fighting those guys. So, yeah, here's a little bit of a closer picture of what's going on. I do end up... This is during magic. I don't get anything off, but shooting, I do have the Firebelly's Breath, and I use that and put some more wounds on his Graveguard. I don't manage to hurt anything else, because pretty much that whole front rank is just Crypt Ghoul, or Cairn Wraiths and his General. So... over here, this was a fun little bit of trivia. Because the zombies are weapon skill 1, and the Yetis drop your weapon skill by 1, that puts them down to weapon skill 0. Meaning, excuse me, meaning that these Yetis automatically hit, and the zombies don't get to attack back. So, as you can see, I trash all but, I think there's 4 zombies left in that group after Crumble. So, that was pretty awesome. During combat, I can't do anything to the Spirit Host. He ends up doing no wounds to me, so I think he takes 1 or 2 wounds now that the BSB is not there. Mel Gibson and the Throne are just whipping back at each other, and nothing else really gets accomplished this turn. So his turn 4, he throws down the Vampire Gauntlet. He wants those ogres and wants them bad, but I was doing very, very well. You can also see in the back he's charged his Corpse Cart, which I think I just forgot to mention because it was hiding behind so many things. But the Corpse Cart charges into the Gorger, who has been gnashing up some skeletons, in hopes that he'll just be able to do enough wounds on impacts to take me out there, but I don't think so. And here, I was actually jumping the gun a little bit. In his magic phase here, this is when he gets off the summon skeletons to block up my Iron Guts. I am so not going to take the bait on that because it gets me in the wrong direction, but I've got more than enough man-eaters to get in there and just trash that 10-man unit of zombies he's created, so I'm not overly worried about that. Also, and I didn't get a picture of this of the second spell he cast, but he got some Graveguard back with an invocation that I couldn't stop. So when combat came around, he managed to break the ogres yet again, but did not catch them again. So he ends up standing there. So we go into my turn, I think this is 5, and I charge my fully powered Iron Gut unit into the back of his General's unit, and that's bad news. He also killed Mel Gibson, and so Mel Gibson turned to Tom Cruise, and when they change, you have to back off. So Tom Cruise is a kind of a weakling in this, so I ran my 3 ogres up to kill him and steal those points. And you can see up there the 2 remaining man-eaters are slamming into the side of those zombies, and the Yetis have slammed into the back of the skeletons that are fighting the Gorger. I think the Gorger didn't do very well last turn. He put 1 wound on the Corpse Cart and maybe stomped a skeleton, so I need to hurry up and chew that up because I don't have much time to get those points. I'm hoping that I can go ahead and finish. I'm doing like 1 wound a turn to this Spirit Host just from static combat res because he's not hurting me either. I need him to die so I can get into the side of that Coven Throne and steal those points as well. And you can see here that after all the charges are done, I managed to rally with these ogres again. So at this point, he's only taken out like 3 ogres and done a couple of wounds to my Firebelly. And that's all he's managed to accomplish with this unit. So the fact that I keep rallying is really just annoying at this point, I think. But it's very awesome. I'm hoping to, if I can't kill that big unit with my ogre or my Iron Guts, I'll get him. And you see here, actually I think that picture might have been after combat, because I chewed up that unit. Didn't kill any of the characters, but there's like no Graveguard left. But the zombies get killed, and I overrun. I was trying to clip the side of the Coven Throne and fail by, like you can see, an inch. So that was a little disappointing. But I'm having such good luck in this, I really can't complain for little things. And over here you see the Gorger turns around and just eats the Corpse Cart. The Yetis One of them has died at this point from spears, but they chew this unit down. There's 3 guys left, and they are absolutely toast next turn. And then over here, the ogres manage to kill Tom Cruise. They take a wound for their trouble, but succeed in overrunning past Tom Cruise into the front of the Coven Throne. You can also see that the Lead Belchers have finally, purely through one combat res at a time, managed to kill the Spirit Host, so they're ready to go into the side of that as well, depending upon... I'm not really sure how tough the Coven Throne is. We'll have to see what it takes to kill him. And then after combat here, there is, with the Crumble, I kill everything in the unit. His level 4 of Death has 2 wounds on it, and his level 4 of Vampires has 2 wounds on that. So, yeah. There's not much left for that world. And so this is the one picture I've got of his turn 5. You can see the Coven Throne's been eaten. The zombies in the back have been eaten. I managed to kill his level 4 of Death in combat, but not before he hucked a Purple Sun backwards down towards the unit he thought he could kill. Reason he threw it backwards instead of forwards, I guess, is because you get lookout sirs, and he thought he could kill more, or at very least panic the other unit. So this is my turn 6. You can see I did pretty well. Neither of my characters died to the Purple Sun, but I only had 2 ogres left, but luckily the general range from the Iron Gut unit tags them, and I had like a leadership 10 reroll not to panic, so I didn't go anywhere. So turn 6, I slam into the front of this vampire, and he just can't do enough wounds to deal with it and gets taken out. And this is just what the battle looks like at the end of the game. Major win for the ogres, but an absolute fun game. My opponent was a great guy, and we had a lot of fun the entire time. So definitely a fella I would like to play again, and a way to boost me back up in standings. So I was super happy with it. I think I got over 4,000 points in this particular one, which was super good. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please leave any comments or thoughts below, and I'll get to them. Otherwise, keep your eyes out for Game 3. Should be coming shortly. Thanks again.